Dzogchen Today podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to the third episode of this exceptional series of Dzogchen Today podcast dedicated to the universe, the Dzogchen and us. I am Nils, your host, and I am delighted to be with you today. We are recording this episode from the place of La Sauveté in the south of France, dedicated to the Dzogchen practice and supported by the Dzogchen Today project. So, for this episode, we are talking about fate and if we can choose our fate or not. And to answer this question, maybe, I am pleased to welcome Mila Khyentse Rinpoche.
Hello.
And Gregoire Langouet.
Hello.
Hello to both of you.
Thanks to having us.
Thanks to you. I am very pleased to have you both. Mila Khyentse, you are a trained scholar, consultant and teacher of Dzogchen. You have been traditionally trained in the Himalayas and in Europe, and you are a lineage holder.
Yes.
Gregoire Langouet, you are a PhD student at the Catholic University of Louvain in Belgium. Yeah. Thank you. You studied philosophy and religious sciences, co-editor of Vue de l'Esprit publishing house, and translator from Tibetan.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you very much again for being with us today.
Thanks. Thanks to you.
And we are going to get started with the first question.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Exactly. So first, an experience from my own experience. Then when I come home at the end of the day and I am asked what I've done today by my wife, usually I tell to the story of my day in terms of the action I did with my body. I got up, I made breakfast, I met these people, I talk with this kind of person or whatever, and
a kind of person.
It's not so exciting, but okay, it was my day anyway. So the way I speak of it, it's only and mainly that through the action I made with the body, with my body. And so it seems that the main gateway, we can say that, of my activity, of the activity of what we are. So what's the point of view of the Dzogchen teachings about the body and the body activity as a main activity?
Yeah, it's true. We are in society that value a lot like activities like tangible activities done through the bodies. But there are other aspects of reality or way how to relate to reality from the Dzogchen perspective. So maybe you talked about that in the previous episode, but okay, most of the time we're used to separate maybe the body on one side and the mind on the other. And even in nowadays, like in scientific perspective, we tend to think most of the time as the mind created by the body. Like the brain is the source of every mental activity, like imagination, thoughts and everything. So this dual aspect is something we are very familiar with in modernity, but the Dzogchen perspective gives something a bit more complex and more subtle by adding a third element, which is what we can talk about as the energy, what's a bit in between the mind and the body, which sometimes or most of the time in the most outer aspect, tangible aspect, is related to what we are used to talk about, like the words. We're used to have sound with our mouth, and that's the third activity we have.
It's our speech.
Our speech, exactly. And this aspect is not most of the time talked about in modernity. We are used to be only with the spirit or mind on one side and the body on the other. And the Dzogchen perspective precisely put emphasis on the mind, spiritual, but that's not the right word, the mind aspect, which is the source or the boss, maybe we can say, of the speech and of the body. So the mind, how it works, and the intention of the mind is above the word, how speech works and how body works. So that would be a different way how to talk about our activities from the Dzogchen perspective.
To just maybe emphasize the fact that you said that I remember all my day with my activities and never about my thoughts. It's exactly the way we emphasize everything that is materialistic, solid in our experiences in the West, in the Western countries. But Dzogchen, as you said, define a really different perspective of our reality. So there is the mind, but it's not separated from the body. The body is not separated from the mind. And of course, there is a middle way, as you said, which is connected to the speech. But in fact, the Dzogchen perspective is more about everything coming from a primordial ground. It's the right word, actually. It's the right concept. The primordial ground is the ground of everything, and it's also the origin of everything. So, as we said in the previous podcast, in this really
amazing
special series.
Oh, no, sorry. Amazing as well.
Amazing we hope it's amazing as well. Yeah, sure.
Especially with our accent.
Yes, it can be cute. But it's just rooting directly to what we called before, and what the Dzogchen tradition talk about, the cosmic egg. And the cosmic egg is the primordial ground of all the reality. And this is the root, actually, of the body and the mind, because mind is defined as twofold. The primordial mind, which is the primordial ground, and the ordinary mind, which defines our thoughts, our emotions, everything that we experience through the mind, with the mind. So Dzogchen has a complex view of the reality, because this tradition says that neither the mind nor the body can exist on their own. So this is the main point, actually. The body and the mind are not separated. They are not. They cannot be split into two existential things. So, for example, when you go back after a long day, maybe when you go back to your place, then when you think only about your body, it's not possible, because you think about your body. And when you talk about the experiences you had from your body, it's never your body alone. That's not possible. It means that, you had what kind of experiences you had during your day, for example.
I don't know. I go to the office. I just open my laptop and read my mails. Okay.
So when you do that, it's not possible that it's just a bodily activity, because you think for example, when you open your computer, you think about opening your computer. You think about reading your mails, etc. And even when you go back to your place at night, when you say, someone just sent me an email. This email, it's not your body who read it.
I read it, yeah.
It's your mind who experienced it. So it's just a fake way to define the reality, when we define the reality in terms of bodily reality and mind reality. It's not possible. And this is exactly what the Dzogchen says. Everything is comprised in the same sphere of reality, in the same dimension, body, mind, and in between speech. And that's it. And if we just dive a bit into the traditional definition, it's body, speech, and mind, which are the three main activities of our experience as human beings. And this is the main point, actually. These three activities work all the time together. They cannot be separated. These are our experience.
But at the same time, maybe we can say that in our experience too, we tend to separate them or to find them as dissociated. Like we tend to think that we can think about something and do something else with the body, or talk about something and thinking at something else at the same time. And we don't necessarily see the link between all of them. It's difficult to make the connection between these different types of activity. And maybe if I can just come back a little bit to the body, the reality of the body.
Of course. Go for
Just
it.
why not?
To share a few questions.
We have 1 hour.
No question? Answer?
Just because we are very used to think about the body as something as we know. We know it. That's who we are, and we are pretty sure about what does the body mean. But body, first of all, is a word. And the concept of the body is not necessarily extremely clear, because in our experience and experiences, it constantly changes. And we have experiences of part of the body. We have experience of the leg. We don't experience the whole body all the time, only in terms of sensation. And so we are constantly rebuilding mentally. And so that's, for instance, an example of the connection between the body and the mind. And we create with the mind a whole that we can talk about, we can call the body. But in our experience, that's not the case. We very rarely experience all the sensation at the same time. We very rarely experience all the 5 senses at the same time. So body is something maybe we are very familiar with, but we don't really necessarily know what it is.
Really? Okay.
Like the mind.
Like the mind, yeah. And when we will talk about maybe later about the in-between, the speech, we can see that maybe even more complex in a way.
Let's talk about the speech.
So the speech is like the in-between the mind and the body, and that's something we are not used to think about in modernity, because we are used to think about this duality of body and mind. And maybe we can think about like in other traditions, in the medical traditions of the time, like in China, India or Tibet, this aspect of the in-between, the speech that we can talk about as the energy, which is a very tricky word to use. And sometimes more precisely the wind and the outside aspect of the wind, the breath, that can lead to the speech and using the use of the word is really central to this medical tradition. It's like a whole world, extremely rich. We don't really know it anymore here in the West. And so what we used to think as the speech most of the time are words. And the words are inside the mind or inside the brain, or we use words outside to relate to the other, to give meaning to the other. That's how we understand most of the time the speech. But there are ways to go a bit more to the primordial aspect, to go back to the source of it, which we talked about earlier. And before the meaning of the word, there is like the word itself, but the sound of the word and like maybe the vibration of it. And so we can go deeper and deeper, closer to the element, closer to the primordial aspect, if we pay attention to this aspect of reality, which is the in-between mind and body.
And just to be a bit more precise, there is not only the winds. We talk about vital winds. Yeah. It means that they are life support or existence support. They support our body. They make it function, but also they support our mind. They, they create movement in the mind. So the movement of the thoughts, the emotions, and etc., etc. And as you said, it's really connected. It's the in-between. Connecting as well the mind, the ordinary aspect of the mind, which is the thoughts and emotions and etc., and the primordial aspect of the mind, which is clarity, luminosity, which is the real aspect of the mind, in fact, for the Dzogchen tradition. So the vital winds are in between this primordial aspect of the mind and ordinary aspect of the mind. So this is really important to to just notice that there is not just one thing, a part of something else. It's not the mind and the body. It's not two things. It's several components of the reality. And the cosmic egg, the famous now, the really famous cosmic egg, is the really primordial ground of all of it. And so we cannot say that the body exists somewhere and the mind exists in the body or somewhere else as the body. Everything is included in the same dimension, in the same space.
And as a manifestation of this primordial ground, for those who will be maybe more familiar with this term, like when we talk about the speech and so the inside aspect or the subtle aspect of physiology, maybe some of us are used to the word like channels, like chakras, the vital essence, and that's what we are dealing with here when we talk about the different types of winds too.
Okay, thank you very much. And we also you talk at the beginning, Gregoire. You talk about the body. We just talk a little bit about the speech and the vital winds. Maybe we will talk a little bit later. But let's talk about the mind, because you talk. Mila Khyentse, you said that the mind was like primordial, like all including the body and the speech. Could you give some precision about that?
About the fact that it's all including
and the aspect of the mind itself, I
primordial aspect.
Both of it, because for us, or at least for me, when I think mind is thought. Is that only that? Or?
If we rewind to the primordial aspect, there is the primordial aspect of the mind, which is the ground of all the reality. This primordial aspect of the mind is twofold. We say it's just one thing, but twofold, two qualities. It's emptiness and luminosity. Emptiness is an extraordinary aspect of the space, which is often we say the space beyond the space. And there is also the luminosity aspect, which is the natural movement of this space, the natural, as you were talking about, energy, the natural energy of the mind, which is not some electricity or some other fuel or gas or whatever.
I thought it was coming from the brain, so it was like...
No, I don't think so. I mean, not for the Dzogchen view, for sure.
For Matrix view, yes.
But this luminosity is the dynamic aspect of the space of the space. Just to give you an example, practical example, it's like the starlight in a really dark sky. The starlight are the movement of the dark sky because the rays are just moving into the space. So we can say that, the light is the natural movement of the space. And as this is the natural ground of the reality, so we say the luminosity is the real aspect, the real form of all the manifestation. So this is the first ground. Then this manifestation just unfolds from this primordial egg as the 5 luminosities, which are the 5 elements constituting all the reality of the universe, of myself as a human being, and also of all the inner aspects of what I am, which are the thoughts, the emotions, and etc., etc. So this luminosity element aspect is related to the speech aspect, the one you were talking about.
And dynamism.
Yes, the movement of the reality in its ground. And then the external aspect is constituted by the form, the body, for example, and as well the inner elements of the mind, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, etc. So on the ground aspect, it's emptiness and luminosity. At the middle aspect, the middle manifestation aspect, we can say, it's the 5 elements which are the 5 luminosity. And then at the external aspect, it's our solid experiences connected to the karmic tendencies. It's the material aspect of the body and the inner aspect of the thoughts and the emotions. So everything, all this, is the mind, and what is constituted by what we say usually as the ordinary mind, it's connected to the thoughts, to the emotions, sensations, etc., connected to the body. And the primordial aspect is the first one, the ground aspect of emptiness, luminosity. And in between are the elements, so the vital winds, which develop the external aspect on one side and the primordial aspect on the other side. So in our daily life, we all the time are connected to the external aspect, but when we start just
concentrating,
walking a path, a training and etc., we just go back to this primordial aspect through the winds. So it's both sides, and it's all the time working that way.
And we can start this path with the thoughts too, which are like the ordinary as anything else.
Yes, emotions
as well.
And emotions are the path. Thoughts are the path.
Exactly.
Sensations are the path. The body is the path, etc.
And you use them to come back to the source, to come back to the primordial ground by recognizing their own nature, like clarity for the thoughts, for the sensation. And that's a way how to come back to what we really are, which is the source of our reality.
And would it be a way to control what we are? To control and to choose what we can be.
To master.
Yeah, to master the fate. To master the fate, exactly. Yeah, and all the universe, all the reality.
The fate of the universe.
Yeah, exactly.
I am the king of the universe in this way, or.
There are many different ways.
Why not?
I didn't think about that, but yeah, let's say that.
If we just observe like the ordinary aspect of the mind, which are the thoughts, if we just stick on that, we can already observe like how many thoughts we have. It goes in all directions. We can be a little bit scattered. It's extremely difficult to follow like a thread of thinking, like to have a red thread. Even when we are talking with somebody else and with ourselves, it's maybe even worse. We go in all kind of directions. So already like in a few minutes, we can recognize we have not much power, not much control on our thoughts. So it would be a bit complex without having pacified a bit the thought, recognize how they work, recognize who they are, what they are, their own nature, to really pretend having a control on our faith, because we need a lot of mastering of how we work before having any kind of control on that. Yeah.
Sure, and we can add as well that for the Dzogchen view, there is no fate, not at all.
And free will, maybe.
Free will as well doesn't exist for the Dzogchen tradition. Actually, Dzogchen tradition really emphasizes the fact that fate is really when we think about fate, when we think about our destiny, it's really connected to the time, to the future, and it's that point that the Dzogchen just declare that it's not possible, because when we just think a bit about the 3 times, for example, past is past, it's over. Even if I remember things from the past, they are over, they are not here anymore. So past,
for sure,
in terms of reality of time or time reality, doesn't exist anymore. And then future is not here yet. So we can just project everything. We can think about our future. And, it won't be our future. It's just a thought of our future, a wish of our future, or whatever.
You cannot.
So future is also, an illusion when we think about the future. And then there is present, and present is already past. So present also is just transitional. What we call present is more a day, for example. My day is the present because, it's in the morning I go to my job and then I come back at night. And then, this is my kind of present. But, just one instant, it's over. So there is as well no present. So when we talk about fate, in fact, if the Dzogchen defines the fact that if there is no time as we think about it, so there is no fate as we think about it. It doesn't mean maybe that fate doesn't exist, but for sure it doesn't exist the way I define it. So in this way, mastering a path, mastering myself, trying to control what I am or what I think I am, etc., is completely
what I would like to be as well, or
it's just an illusion.
Okay.
In the fact that all my thoughts will disappear. Just the time I will think about one thing, they will disappear. So if I wish to be something, or if I wish to be someone else, then it won't happen because I won't be natural. I won't be in my natural flow. I won't be in my natural condition. So I will wish something that I cannot be because I just the only way I can wish something is to be it, to be whatever I am here, and then just concentrate into this path. But thinking about a fate and a direct, a really straight thread directly to defining the fate, then it's not possible for Dzogchen view, for sure.
Could we say that just fate is here and now?
Exactly.
And so if it is here and now, it cannot be
in the future.
Yeah.
So if you want to be, then be it right now, right here. That's it.
And maybe having the intention or the motivation for that. That can already create something like a direction to it.
And it's also for for the Dzogchen view, it's also a way to be really clear with our life. Wishing the fate to be something. It's just not being able to be here and now, and so we are not living our life. We are just wishing to live a life, or to change my life because I think my life is shitty or whatever. And when we just are present in whatever we do, with all the strength we have, it changes everything. Because we just are here, we are just experiencing our life, and we do not wish to develop a different kind of life.
And it can bring maybe some peace because we are not constantly thinking about the future, so worrying potentially about the future, having doubts about doing this or that, and maybe we are not coming back neither to the past, having regrets about what we have done, what we have not done, and so thinking about it constantly, which make us not present at all.
Sure, and also it's an answer to the how can I say that? The eternal split of the Western world, which
fate.
is on one side it's fate, on the other side it's free will.
Free will. Yeah.
So how can we be free when we think that everything is determined by fate? It's just not possible. It's just trying to make two extremes work together. It's just not possible, and it's also a root of a lot of suffering because we won't never be satisfied really by what we wish, because we won't never attain it, as we think that, okay, the fate is like this, it's written, and that's it. So, it's a kind of a difficult way to live our life. And, nowadays we see a lot of insatisfied people because of that, because they cannot just relink to what they are really, because they wish to be something else, and they won't never be able to be it, because they won't never think to be what they are. So it's the big split. And it's our tendency nowadays, for sure.
Yeah, it's like dualism, like not accepting some kind of paradox, maybe, or the fact that neither nor the other one is right, or both are right, like free will and fate on the other side. And that has led to like century or millennium of like theological debate, and maybe like concrete wars between people. Like the Catholic and the Protestant was partly on this view, and you can find that in many traditions.
It's the human history, and it's actually
just being
nowadays as well.
But when you say that, both of you, it seems so simple, so evident to just to let it down like that and be here, and so there is no.
It is really simple to be like this, but we have to train, because we forgot how to be natural, how to be authentic, and how to live just right here, right now. So as we forgot how to do that, we have to train again to know how to do that for sure.
So
it's like we like complexity, and so to come back to simplicity, it requires some effort.
Some time and effort.
So forget fate. We can forget fate, forget free will, forget choices, and just train to be natural.
Yes, just natural and at peace, because you are here and now, and you are natural, for sure.
Great. So thank you very much.
Thanks to you.
Thank you so much
for this share and for this knowledge. And I'm very happy to have been with you today for this last episode, the third episode of this mini-series. And so
it's the end of the mini-series?
Yeah, that was the last
episode. So sad. We have to leave La Sauveté in the southwest of France.
It's raining.
Yeah,
again.
I think it's raining everywhere in France nowadays.
But the sun will rise again tomorrow.
No worries, it's okay. You can just keep going. I am going right now.
Okay,
I got something to do. No, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And for all of us, we can stay tuned for the next episode of the Dzogchen Today podcast anyway. Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You can find more episodes on your website, dzogchentoday.org. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast app and share it with your friends. We will be pleased to receive your feedbacks on podcast@dzogchentoday.org.